What's up, hybrids? Welcome back to another episode of the Fandom Hybrid Podcast. This is Hanako, and I'm here with Anthony, Lori, and Mike, and we are discussing the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yay, the first episode. It's finally here. I'm excited because we get more Marvel stuff, and my first thought, I love the episode, but it kind of threw me off that it was only an hour because I'm so used to seeing these characters in 2.5 hour increments. So I was thrown off, but I loved the first episode. What did you guys think?
I really liked it. I thought that the action, I'm glad they started us off with the action sequence of him doing the rescue mission. I thought that was cinematic quality. I was like, yeah, that's crazy. It was awesome. Then I kind of wish that, well, I see what they're doing, so I can't really be that mad at it, but I was kind of hoping that they would be Bucky and Sam would already be together, but it's okay because I know that they're eventually going to be together anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to see that. I appreciate a lot of the little bit of backstory that we did get with Sam, and I'm looking forward to digging into that and figuring out stuff like about his dad and stuff like that. It's gonna be interesting to see how Bucky tells his friend about make him some amends with his friend. That's gonna be interesting. But yeah, for all in all, it's a good first episode. I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it too. My first impression was like Mike. It was like cinematic quality. The visuals, the writing, the pacing. I honestly, I couldn't find anything about it that I didn't like or thought was wrong. It was damn near perfect for me. I mean, I know that's saying a lot, but it was absolutely brilliant. And once again, Marvel shows us why they're good at what they do. They knew exactly how to present this show to us. They didn't do weirdness like WandaVision, which was a stretch. They actually gave us let's give you cinema quality television.
Mm-hmm.
Like this could have been the first part of a movie in the theater that we just saw. That's how great it was.
It felt like it.
I thought it was very well done. I didn't want the episode to end. I was very surprised, like the guy said about them not already being together, but that's fine. I was surprised about Falcon's Sam's background because nothing about him says he's from Louisiana. Nothing. I was like, oh, okay. As far as Bucky stuff is concerned, I liked what they're doing with that. I think that his friend and what happened with his friend's son, I'm thinking that there was definitely something that he was involved with, and there's a lot of guilt. I also think that he needs to really learn how to date because telling someone your exact age that you're 106 years old isn't going to help you. It was awesome. It felt like a movie. And like I said, I wanted another episode. I wanted 2 episodes.
Yeah. It felt like that was like, oh, we don't get a 2-part premiere this time, like we did with WandaVision. Oh, okay. That's kind of how I felt. But so let's get into the episode. First of all, the way they started the episode off, I was like, oh, y'all are trying to put me in my feelings all the way from the beginning. I mean, even just the opening shot is of Sam at an ironing board and him, pulling out a shirt to iron, and it was like a dress shirt. And I was like, if y'all start this damn episode showing us Steve Rogers' funeral, I'm gonna pitch a fit. I was like, don't do that to us. Don't do that to us. I really thought we were gonna get like a Captain America funeral, which we didn't get a funeral. We did get like a dedication type scene in the episode, which I thought was really sweet. But one of the things I've noticed is throughout the episode, when the question of Cap came up, I noticed that they always sidestepped exactly what happened to Steve Rogers. Like, we don't know if he's actually dead or if he's just gone or if he's just staying under the radar. They never specifically said he was dead. which is hopeful for me because I'm like, oh, maybe we will see Steve at some point during the episode, which I don't think so because supposedly Chris Evans is done playing the role. But, a girl can hope.
I don't think we're gonna see him, but I also don't think he's dead. I just think he's hiding. That's one of my another thing that I came across while watching and doing my research. I came across something that I'll do later. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that this is just Sam saying that he doesn't want to be Captain America and giving it like, here, take the shield, I don't want it, basically. But it's done as a ceremony, and then he gets Rhodey trying to convince him otherwise. And he's just like, I don't want it. Just let it be. I don't want it right now.
He's
So
the roadie.
My thing is, he gave you the shield for a reason. Like, Steve told you it was basically yours. It's yours now. He handpicked you to take up the mantle. So he has confidence in you. Yeah. It's too bad that Sam doesn't have confidence in himself, but I know the show has to have, something to build on. But I don't know. Well, I have some issues with Sam for just disregarding the whole thing. I know you don't feel like you can, but he gave it to you. He told you it was yours.
Yeah, but that's a really big mantle, though. I mean, that's Captain freaking America. It's not like he gave him. It's not like he promoted him to vice president or something. That's Captain fucking America. That's huge. That's someone who's a huge hero in everybody's eyes. He saved the world countless times. He's done all this stuff, and now he's saying, "All right, it's your turn to be all this that I was. You get to do that plus more." And you can't help but have second thoughts. This is like Kung Fu Panda when Po gets chosen to be the next chosen one, and he's like, "I don't want this. I don't know what I'm doing." So it's basically the same thing.
Well, that's true. The thing that Steve should have told him was, "Don't try to be me. Do you be who you are, but the shield is yours." And I think that message got lost to Sam. It feels like he should know that no one wants him to be Cap. He should just be who he is, be himself, and just have the shield. And what he does, it works. You still can save the world. You can still do what you do. It's just that the shield really is a symbol, and as long as it's out there, everything it represents will be okay. But no one expects you to try to stand toe to toe with Thanos. And unfortunately, he has. If he feels like that's what he has to do, I can understand not wanting to be Captain America. But I think Steve again will tell him, don't try to be me.
Yeah. I think the other thing we have to remember too is that Sam has been gone for 5 years. So him being gone in the blip and then coming back and then being given that mantle, that's a lot to take in, especially when you still really need to figure out like what's going on. You have to get reacclimated to the world again, because even though it was just a moment ago for you, it's been 5 years for everyone else. And as we learned in the episode, a lot of things changed during that 5 years. And, there are things that Sam may be used to doing that may not even be relevant anymore because of the way the world has changed. And I think for him to try to step into those shoes and take on that kind of responsibility so quickly after, one, coming back from a 5-year absence, and two, coming back and immediately getting into that huge battle with Thanos, in Endgame, that's a lot to have to try to maneuver, and then to try to take on the mantle of something else. And it's like, again, you haven't had time to adjust. You just got back, and now the person who was your best friend, he's old now. Like, he went and lived a whole other life in the span of the 5 minutes that he was gone from you. And again, that's another thing that you got to really sit there and adjust to. So I can kind of understand why he didn't want it. I don't think I would have given the shield to the Smithsonian, because we saw it in Black Panther. Those kinds of things in museums, they're not safe from the people who want them. He should have just sent the shield back to Wakanda, gave it to Shuri, told her to hold it, or should have done, maybe hold it until he's ready to use it, or he could have stored it somewhere else. But I just, I think,
it's like what acting director Dick said. We can't bury $3 billion worth of vibranium. They're just not going to let all that vibranium just sit in a museum and not do anything with it. And if the government calls you and tells you, hey, you know that shield you got? Why don't you donate it to the Smithsonian? No.
I don't think that shield is made. I don't think that's the same shield that was made of vibranium. That's a different shield.
I think it's the same shield, but I also think that for Sam, it wasn't so much that he didn't have confidence to be the new Captain America. I think that he is in mourning of his friend, and there needed to be a couple of things he needed to take care of. One, he needs to mourn properly for his friend. Mm-hmm. Two, he's just come back after 5 years. He needs to get himself settled, as we saw with his family. And the third thing is that he needs to sort of get his head wrapped around the fact that Cap, not only did Cap pick him, but Cap directly said, this is yours. And remember what they said? I forget which movie. He says, I'm just like him, only slower. So Cap knew his heart. I think Sam will take up the shield, but I think Sam needs about 6 or 7 months to sort of get himself situated. As we saw in this episode, there was a few things that, changed from life before to life out, because I think we're still going to be dealing in the next couple of movies the ramifications of the snap, because that screwed a lot of people up. People who thought their spouses were dead got remarried. People had children with other people. People moved, changed careers. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff that all of a sudden 5 years down the road is completely different, and a lot of it can't go back to the way it was. If I thought my spouse was dead and I would never remarry, but just say I meet someone and I marry them, what am I going to do? Yeah. I'm a polygamist now.
Just move to Utah. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
But going back to the shield real quick, that is not the same shield that he started out the MCU with, but that is a vibranium shield. In Infinity War, when Cap went back to Wakanda right before that battle, you remember T'Challa was giving out orders. He was saying, "Do this, do this, and get this man a shield." So that is a vibranium shield.
But that was the one that was on his arm that he kind of opened up. That wasn't the same shield. I think this is the shield that's going to be made of proto-adamantium. That's what, instead of vibranium.
Yeah, I think that's the original shield, because I think old Steve, when he went back, to deliver the Infinity Stones and stayed in the past, I think whatever shield was back then is the shield that he kept.
Oh, that would have been, that would have made sense. Because I was going to say, after Civil War, didn't Tony keep the shield?
I thought he did.
Yeah,
he gave it back to Steve.
He gave it back in
Endgame. He gave it back to Steve in Endgame.
Oh, okay.
And Thanos destroyed that shield, but I'm saying when he went back in time to return the Infinity Stones, when he went back to be with Peggy, I think whatever shield was around then is the shield that he passed on to Sam.
He had a new shield though. When he teleported, right before he teleported, he had the shield.
Don't remember him having a shield.
Yeah, that's the other thing about this show, because watching this first episode made me want to go back and rewatch the movies, because it's been a while since I've seen Endgame and Infinity War. Actually, it's been a while since I've seen the last few movies in the series. And now watching this, I'm like, I really want to go back and rewatch them now, because I'm sure there's probably some things that happen in the movies that I've forgotten about, just like this whole discussion we're having about the shield. And I just want to go now and just kind of re-immerse myself into it, which is crazy because I don't have the time in my schedule to rewatch 23 movies. But
I ain't got time. Yeah, I still got to watch Justice League. I can't watch 8 hours worth of movies tomorrow.
But you know what? I plan on doing it at some point because now I just want to go back and see, because again, we've talked about this before with other shows, with other movies, about how they'll have some information in Iron Man that we wouldn't have seen for like 5 or 6 movies, and then it's like, oh wait, I remember them mentioning this in such and such. So I just feel like something like that is going to happen. Like they're going to talk about some stuff in this series that's going to, be a throwback to some of the other movies. And I don't want to sit there and be like, wait, I think I kind of sort of remember that, but I'm not sure. I want to go back now and just watch it because, and also too, because we didn't get Bucky and Sam in this episode, I was looking so forward to that dynamic, especially with all the promos that they've shown us, and we didn't get it. So now I feel like I have to go back to the Avengers movies to when they first met and couldn't stand each other just to get my fix until next Friday.
Yeah, just watching Civil War would probably give it to you.
Yeah. But so Anthony, you got a lot of action in this episode. I don't think you can complain about not having action, because that first sequence where Sam is doing the flying and they're trying to rescue the guy, watching that whole sequence, like you said, it felt like a movie. I felt like Torres in the Jeep when he started dancing right at the end. And he was like, yeah. That's how I felt watching that whole scene. I was like, that's me. I felt like I was sitting in the movie theater watching an MCU movie. It doesn't feel like a TV show.
See, they front loaded all of the action. Like they hit you in the face with it from the very beginning. So you're not going to have any lack of it for the rest of the show.
Right.
Because they hit you with a ton of it. That whole opening sequence was just outstanding.
Amazing. It was amazing.
Outstanding. And you realize how good he's gotten with those wings, and how fearless he is with all that stuff, and how confident he is. Like, not at any point did he go like, "What the fuck am I gonna do?" It was like, "Oh yeah, I got this."
Yeah, he just reacted. It's like anything they threw at him, he just reacted like that to it. And I love the scene where he flew the first time he flew into the chopper. And he flew in and sat there and was like, hey, what's up? And just started beating their ass and throwing them out the chopper. That was an awesome scene. I was just like, yeah, that's dope. And the second time when he knocked Batrock, when he flew through and knocked Batrock through it and caught the guy that he was supposed to be rescuing, that scene was that was a moment. That's the moment when you're in the theater, like, oh my God. Like you said, like you jump up out of your seat and you're like, yeah, let's go. So yes, that whole thing was very well done.
And it's like the way that he was throughout all of that, not just the confidence, but he knew it was something serious that he was doing, but he still had his humor, but his humor and the seriousness of the situation, there was never a conflict between those two, because sometimes with some characters you have them being funny at absolutely the wrong time and it just kind of screws up the mission or what he's trying to do, or it just makes the scene feel weird. You don't get that with this character, and that's one thing. Even watching like interviews with Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan, like I really feel like they are Bucky and Sam off screen when they're doing interviews with each other, because they carry that same dynamic off screen. And I think that's one of the reasons too why I'm so excited about this show, because just the way that they portray these characters, it feels like almost an extension of the person that they are. It felt very natural. Sam sitting in the chopper, the guy was like, oh, he I don't even remember what it was that the bad guy was saying. He said something about, oh, he's not going to do anything, or he can't do anything. And then you turn around, he's like, what's up? It was just like, that was so expected of that character, even though
really, ever since that scene of him and Bucky in the car when Steve was talking to I was like, they have to have their own show. They have to have their own show.
Right.
Because one minute they're sitting there, Sam is in the car and Bucky's in the back seat. He's like, can you scoot your seat up? No.
No.
And then when it starts getting interesting between Steve and Sharon, Bucky has to scoot over and they're both looking. And then after the kiss, he looks at them and they're both nodding their head like, yeah, boy. I was like, they're going to end up being the best friends, and Steve is going to be looking like, what the hell happened? That's the feeling that I got. And
what was it? Director Dick said, which one of you is a sassy best friend?
Yeah, they both.
He was talking to.
Right, when he was talking to the trio, yeah, they both are. But as much as I was sad that we didn't get them together in this episode, I still like the way that this episode unfolded, because you got to see Sam with his family, and you got to see that side of him. Like you said, Anthony, I wouldn't have thought that he grew up in Louisiana. Sam being on a boat fishing, that was not a reality I had in my mind for this character. So seeing that was kind of interesting. And then also when we first see Bucky in the show, it's a flashback to his Winter Soldier days, which of course we don't know that, because that's just how they introduce it. We don't realize that this is a nightmare until a few minutes later. But I'm looking at the screen like, oh my God, Bucky, what are you doing? What's happening? What's going on? And then I think kind of later on, I kind of realized, oh, okay, this must be a flashback or something. And then I realized that it was a scene that will be important to us later on, because the gentleman who he's befriended, was it Mr. Nakajima? I think that was his name. But his son is the one that was standing at the hotel door when, Bucky killed the Russian guy, and he ended up killing that guy. And so now part of his story arc is that he has to make amends for the things that he did as the Winter Soldier. And him, I guess, befriending this guy is one of the things, but it's so sad because we see a lot of the old Bucky in this episode. Like, we see Bucky from Captain America, the first Avenger. You see the one that's kind of the wise ass. You see the one that's kind of playful, and he's the one that's, also protective. And you get to see him struggle trying to be the person that he's always supposed to have been, but he's also struggling with the person that he was created to be. And it's a very stark contrast between these two characters, because sometimes you see the struggle right there while he's interacting with these people trying to live his normal life. And it's just one of those things where it's just like, you feel sad for him, but I like the fact that we're seeing this struggle with him, because we know who Bucky is supposed to be. We know what the struggles are that he went through. We've seen all of that unfold in the previous movies, but nobody else in his life does. So to see him try to circumnavigate that is really interesting. And yes, Lori, I agree with you. Telling somebody you're 106 years old is not a great thing to do. But at the same time, I was kind of curious about it, because when he was identified as the Winter Soldier, it was on all the national news and international news, because for a while he was the one that was being blamed for the explosion that killed King T'Chaka. So I'm just kind of curious, like, you guys don't recognize him. I realize he has shorter hair and, that sort of thing, but still it's kind of like.
It's been 5 years, though. It's been 5 years.
And not everyone knows who he looks like. Like, if they showed me a picture of the guy if I saw the guy that just shot up those Asian women here in Atlanta, I couldn't tell you I would be able to pick him out on the street. You know what I mean? Okay. It's one of those scenes where they show us a picture, they say, "Oh, this guy's wanted." You may look at it, but you're not. Most of us are not going to commit that to memory, because we're not going to think, "Oh, we're going to see that guy and we're going to point them out."
Okay.
Just like we always get these Amber Alerts on our phone, and they describe the kid in the car. There's so many cars on the road. I mean, it's the 1999 black Honda Civic. You're like, how many of those are riding around?
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not trying to make light of the situation.
No, I get it. I get it.
Illustrate a point that, yeah, he was the guy that blew up the United Nations, but people are not always, and it's also been 5 years, but people are not going to commit that guy's face to their memory and know that it's exactly him. You know what I mean?
She's young enough that when all this happened, she was possibly still in her teen years. and didn't watch CNN like the rest of us. I mean,
Yeah, okay.
There's any number of things.
Okay, so I have a couple of nitpicks. First of all, when you just said that she was probably a teenager and now she's dating Bucky, that's like R. Kelly level. That's double R. Kelly level to me. Okay. Second of all, when they were talking, she asked him how old he was, and he said 106, and she acted like she believed him. Like, okay, fine, she knows who he is. Then she asked him about the. For some reason, it messed with me that she asked him about his gloves, and he didn't like tell her right away. Like, wait, I might be getting it wrong. The glove was a glove on his adamantium, on his vibranium arm.
So
He had them on both
Yeah,
hands.
with both hands.
Okay. For some reason, it seemed like she asked about the gloves, like she didn't know that he had that arm. And I'm like, if you know he's Bucky, then you know about the arm.
Yeah,
But
that's why I was thinking. I don't think she
knew
knows.
who. Yeah, and I think she thought he was joking when he said he was 106 because he said we could play pinochle, and he was taking that with Yori. So she was like, "Oh yeah," and she also said, "You sound like my father." Yeah, I'm 106 years old.
Yeah.
So she was sort of like, "Yeah."
Okay.
Yeah, pinochle back in the 40s was a hot game.
But yeah, so I think
it was, man.
I think that he was, even though he was saying it, I think he was saying it as a way to kind of like joke and deflect, because who's going to believe him when he says he's 106 years old? Now going back to your reasoning, Anthony, as far as, people are not going to remember that kind of thing. Something tells me that Yori might have an idea. I don't know if he has an idea that Bucky definitely is the Winter Soldier, but something tells me that he knows that there's something about his past that he's hiding. And I think, we see the scene later on in the episode after, when Bucky and the girl, they're having a conversation, and she's telling him, I think it's really nice that you hang out with him. Things haven't been the same since his son died and stuff. And you can feel like the weight, that burden hanging on to Bucky, and he actually gets up and he leaves and he goes to Yuri's apartment. And I think he goes there with the intention of confessing to him, maybe telling him, look, because I think the guilt has weighed on him that heavily that he's like, look, I need to let him know what happened. Just it, even though that would mess up the friendship that they have, I think his intent was to go and give Yuri peace. Peace of mind, or at least give him some closure. And then when he sees the shrine in the background, it just kind of, I think it kind of throws him, and it makes him like, okay, I can't do this right now. But, Yuri looks at him, and he looks back at the shrine to see why he's acting weird. And I think maybe he's starting to put two and two together.
We always talk about people subconsciously know what's going on. Mm-hmm. I think he may subconsciously kind of know, but he's not yet consciously aware. Yeah. Because he kind of looked, he was like, and then he kind of shook his head. Mm-hmm. Like maybe he had a thought cross his mind and then he just disregarded it.
Yeah, see, I thought that too, but then I thought maybe I'm just reading too much into it because I already know what happened, especially once we saw the picture on the shrine, and it was like, oh, that was the guy who was trying to get into his hotel room and he shot him. I was like, oh, that's tying those two stories together. But so I thought I was just reading into it because I already knew what happened. So, but
yeah, I think he definitely has. I think he knows there's something. He may not know what it is. Because what else would this young guy be hanging out with him? You know what I mean? I think subconsciously he knows that Bucky's there to talk to him about something, or at least be aware on some level that there's something that he knows. That's why he tells him, I wish there was someone that could go and find out what happened. Mm-hmm. Because I don't think people have actually told me exactly what happened. But I kind of wish, like he's telling Bucky, I need for someone to tell me what really happened to my son, and I think it's you. That's what it sounded like. Mm-hmm. But I don't think he's consciously aware of it yet. But I do want to mention. Oh, go ahead.
I was saying to Bucky's point, when he finally wanted to tell him. By the way, interrupting one of the most weird and awkward dates ever and he just says, "I'll be right back," and goes to tell him all the secrets. But then he stops short. I kind of get it because I mean, how do you start to tell that story?
Right.
If he starts telling him, I was a killer for hire. I have a metal arm, and I was brainwashed by Hydra, and I killed a lot of people. I don't remember all of them, but I do remember killing your son. But I wasn't supposed to kill him, but I killed him. So it's like,
well, he just has to recite the third rule. I'm James Bucky Barnes. I used to be the Winter Soldier, and I'm not anymore. And then that's it, and walk away.
That's a lot, though. I mean, and plus he knows him, and he like to a certain extent, like he's like friends with him. So it's like he's going to have to deal with him saying, "All this time I've known you, and you haven't told me what. Why are you doing this? Like, why were you even hanging around me just out of pity? What is wrong with you?" So it's like he probably doesn't even really want to get into all that. He's probably gone back and forth with this more times than we know because of the familiarity that he has with him. So he's probably gone through how he's going to tell him what he's going to say and all this other stuff. Right. But he just can't find the words. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
It's interesting how his therapist took this approach to getting him to come to terms with who he was, which is similar to how, alcoholics or addicts have to go back and, as part of their 12-step program to, apologize to the people they've hurt and make amends for what they did. It's a very hard thing to do. It's very difficult to face those things, but in order to overcome your demons, that's what you have to do. Mm-hmm. And I was going to say, that's one of the brilliant things about this show is you have two characters who both have these major issues. On one hand, you have Sam, who is reluctant to accept his role. Like, it seems as if he's doing everything he can to not be what he's supposed to be. And he needs to come to terms with who he actually is and accept it. And that's like, even his sister is telling him, you need to accept the way things are so we can move forward. And it seems like he has that 5 years hurt him too. Like, he feels like he missed a lot. He missed his nephews growing up. He missed his home. He's still trying to hold on to those things that's not there anymore. And then on the other hand, you have Bucky, who, now that he has his own mind back, now that he's not under anyone's control, he has to accept and deal with and process the things that he's done, And when she asked him, you had a nightmare, he keeps telling her, it's not a nightmare. It's not a nightmare. Those are memories. Mm-hmm. Those are things that he's remembering. They're not nightmares. Right. And it's sad that the therapist doesn't recognize that, that they're not nightmares. He's remembering all the horrible things he's did, and that's why he's having a hard time sleeping. So here in this show, once again, the brilliance of Marvel, this is not a show about heroes. It's a show about two people with some mental health issues, and we're going to see them work through these issues, and they're going to have group therapy because we've seen it in the trailers where they're going to be going to therapy together. So this is going to be really, really cool. This is not a theory, Mike. Not a theory. It's not a theory. I'm just telling you, just how WandaVision was about grief, and her mental health issue. Here we have mental health issue with, two people accepting, the reality of their situations and being able to move forward.
Really?
That's not a theory, Mike. Put it down.
It's fine. I'm just getting it ready. No worries.
And for the record, he had Thor's hammer. He did not have the shield when he went back in time. I'm looking at it now on the screen.
Really? So, okay. Yeah, see, now I'm gonna have to go back and watch.
He just had the stones and the hammer. Those are the only things he took back with him.
Okay.
I could have swore. Oh man.
See, that just means we're gonna have to go back and do a rewatch. It's okay. It's okay though.
Yeah. Us doing Black Panther is gonna be 6 hours long. I'm just saying. I want to go back one little point, nitpick. The bad guy in the opening sequence. Does every French soldier have to be Bartok? Like, that annoyed me a little bit. I mean, literally, it's Bartok Jr. That annoyed me a little bit.
I think that's actually supposed to be Batroc.
He's dead.
Or at least his back is broken. I mean, Cap roughed him up pretty well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But I did get, you know, was that Winter Soldier? Was that the movie? Where
I think so. Yeah.
I did feel a little bit like that. I mean, like Lori said, if I had one nitpick, it was very similar, but I think it may have been intentional. Like, remember how badass Cap was? Look at how badass Sam is. Mm-hmm. And I think that was supposed to be the thing that they were trying to show. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Because, you know, Cap did he jumped out of the plane without a parachute. It's like, where's his parachute? Yeah, he didn't do that.
Yeah. But
so I think that I guarantee you that they would say that was their intent, was to show you that parallel between the two of them.
Okay, so let's talk about the bigger bad in this episode. I didn't get a chance to go back and watch it a second time, so I'm not quite clear, but there was a group that Torres was investigating, something online. You know, it has something to do with this red hand that you can see in the when he's looking at the information on, I guess there's supposed to be like an app or something, and it's basically this group that's using other people as scapegoats as they're trying to steal whatever it was that they were stealing. And the guy who was the main thief or the main big bad in this group, this dude was like really freaking strong. It almost seemed like he had like some of the super soldier serum or something was going on with him. Do you guys have any idea who that was supposed to be or what they're supposed to represent? Because I, you know, as a non-comic reader, I have no clue. I don't know if this is related to anything in, you know.
I have no theories whatsoever.
That's cool. Anthony. I'll take it from you. Okay, so now in Captain America lore, there's a character called Flag Smasher. Now, Flag Smasher is played by Carl Morgenthau. That's his alter ego. Okay. Now, in this movie, the girl that we've seen, the redhead girl that has the mask, is Carly Morgenthau. I don't know if they're gender switching or that's his daughter, but it could be that is actually Carl Morgenthau, the original Flag Smasher from Captain America comics. So I think that's one of the things that I thought too, because I mean when he done hit me, it was just like effortless. Like he just jumped down from 3 or 4 stories with 2 big ass bags. It was like, all right, here, hold those.
Well, it has to be connected to the Baron, because isn't the Baron Zemo supposed to be in this?
He is in this.
Yes, he is in this.
So it has to be connected somehow with that. But I think you're right, though.
Okay.
I think that was Anthony's theory. He just didn't want to say it.
So. I have no theories.
Yeah, I was just curious because the way he whooped Torres's ass, like I really thought when he kicked him in the face,
I thought Torres was dead.
Yeah,
I did too.
I really thought he was dead. So
okay, so there's a character in Marvel called Power Broker. Now he's a bad big bad who deals in experimentation. So I'm thinking that could be something that we could be that could be why he could have come up with something like a super soldier serum ish or some kind of super steroid that made him able to do what he did.
Okay, well on that note, I'm gonna follow Anthony's lead. Because WandaVision burned me. So the flag. What was his name? Flag
Smashers.
Flag Smashers. Okay, that I can go with because that's actually what they were called in this episode when Torres was telling Sam about it. So that theory I can get behind. The other one, I'm gonna leave that alone because I don't want to go into that rabbit hole like we did with WandaVision and then nothing comes out. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that.
I have my reasons for bringing up Power Broker, but I'll get into it. I'll get into it in my wrap up because it's kind of something where I kind of put it together, but it's okay. I'll get into that later. There's not really anything perfect.
And I have some speculation. This is not a theory that
Hold on.
that Baron Zemo is probably going to be like a wild card in the situation. Like he doesn't seem to be the type of person that would take anyone's side. And that's based on his previous appearance.
Right.
Where it was just about revenge. It wasn't about trying to make a statement or anything. He just wanted revenge. And if he gets out, which he most likely has, he's probably going to be the same thing. It's just he's not going to care about any flag smashing or anything. It's just I don't like these people and they should die. Period.
Well, here's the question. I want to know if Zemo was part of the snap. Like, did he disappear with the snap and then come back? And that's how he's so-called free? Because we know he has to be free. He's like a major part of the show. So that's my question. And then you have Tony Stark, who is dead. And he was one of the reasons, you were going through this whole revenge thing. Wanda is right now off the grid because apparently this show and the events in this show take place about 6 months after Endgame. So this is about 5 months after all the stuff with Wanda happened. So you've already got those two Avengers out the way. Captain America is the old guy. He's dead. Bucky is kind of off the grid, trying to live a normal life. So it's kind of like now, so with that being said, Zemo was trying to get revenge against the Avengers for what happened in Sokovia. So now most of those Avengers are gone. Vision's in the wind, but he wouldn't even know that Vision is quote unquote alive because Vision died in Infinity War. So it's kind of like, what would be his motivation now? Who is there left to prevent?
Maybe he just wants to watch the world burn. Maybe he just wants to watch the world burn.
That could be it. Or maybe he got a taste of power after the event.
Like how did Bartrock get out? Bartrock is out roaming around. So how did he get out? Because wouldn't they have had him locked up too?
Maybe he was part of the snap too. I mean, who knows? So I guess that'll be an interesting question to see them delve into. Like, what is Zemo doing? How did he get out? What's his goal now?
We're not going to get any answers for those questions. Just so
Here you go.
We're gonna get plenty of answers. Trust me. I'm sure. I think you're onto something about him. Something happened with the snap where, like, when they came back, like, I think that there was some. I mean, who knows? Like, something could have happened as far as. 5 years is a lot of time for things to be without power. Certain things can like break down or
no staff there.
Right. So
they probably closed down the prison where he was being held.
Yeah, so it's like, it probably would have been easy for him to rematerialize. Then, like, where's everybody? Then something. Anything could have happened when he comes back. So,
especially if they came back and had the kind of chaos that we saw when Monica came back.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Right.
Okay. Let's get into this, as Mike says, great value Captain America. What the hell was that?
What the fucker? Hell no.
Well, first of all I have to say is that I understand that the kid has a great pedigree, but he also got a great jaw because his mom is Goldie Hawn and his dad is Kurt Russell, so he's got the jaw.
Oh, really?
Oh, is that who that is?
That's who that is.
Okay.
Wyatt Russell. Oh, he looks just like his dad. Okay.
Yeah, like I said, he's got that jaw.
Yeah, there it is. Well, it's like on his IMDb, he has a beard. That's why I was like, man, okay, but I can 100% see it. Okay, this is gonna be interesting.
So again, this is the second kid of big actors that are now acting good. Like in The Boys, we've got
Jack Quaid.
Meg Ryan's son. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the second generation.
So I guess I was a little baffled by this because how do you go, like Sam, and of course we already know, one is the government, two, it's MCU government, so they're like especially stupid. But how do you go from getting the shield, putting it in the Smithsonian for display, and then you decide, oh, we need another hero? Like, why do you need another hero right now?
They didn't decide. They didn't. It was already, decision was already made. They just needed the shield, and that's how they talked Sam into giving them the shield. I think that was a plan all along.
Okay.
Yeah, because didn't I see, again, I'm trying not to spoil, but didn't they say that a certain U.S. agent might show up?
Yeah, that's what that is.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I'm
Okay.
100% that's what that is.
I'm confused because I haven't seen any spoilers, so I have no idea who you're talking about unless you're talking about
John Walker. His character name is Jonathan Walker. Jonathan Walker is U.S. agent, so that is 100% U.S. agent.
Basically, what happens is that after Steve Rogers, Captain America, the comic books, decides that he's going to retire, he retools himself as U.S. agent, and he basically does the same thing as Captain America, but he does it state by state across the country. And he doesn't answer to anyone of the government. He just sort of answers to himself and a few people. And I have a bust of that somewhere around here. I can find it.
Of course you do.
Sorry.
Not surprised at all.
I'm actually looking for it. I do have US agents somewhere around here. But I kind of sort of went on Entertainment Earth today and was going, ooh, look at that. But I'm very curious because I think what happened is that because they knew that Cap, where he was in Endgame, I didn't get the impression that Cap was really going on a lot of missions during that 5 years. So you have to assume that they're going to have a backup plan for Captain America, and this is this guy. But I also think that, again, I've been watching a lot of CW Lois and Clark, not Lois and Clark, Superman and Lois, but they were showing over there that they even make a contingency plan in case Superman gets out of play. So this is a government. This is going to be expected. I mean, I'd be surprised if they didn't have 2 or 3, in the wings waiting, one fails, bring up another one off the bench.
I looked up John Walker on the Marvel database. There's an arc where he got his powers from Power Broker, so I'm thinking it's more likely that Power Broker is probably going to show up in some way, shape, or form.
Okay, so because that was going to be my question. Like, does this guy, is he supposed to have powers? Because if you're just sticking a regular human in a Captain America costume, that's not going to work. Like, there's a whole, there's a whole reason why Captain America was the way he was. It was that, super soldier serum. Now, Sam, granted, is human, but Sam is an exceptional human, as we can see. He doesn't have powers, but he can hold his own with the Avengers and with the bad guys. So him being...
Well, there's precedent for it because the first person Tony went in the comic books after Civil War, the first person Tony went to was Clint Barnes. To be Captain America, he turned it down.
Right. Oh. And there's even more precedent before that because right around the time of Armor Wars, when you got Drunk Tony, Rhodey took over as Iron Man for a while back in the early 80s.
Okay, I do remember hearing something about that. Aren't we getting an Armor Wars?
And by the way,
show?
Yes, we are getting Armor Wars. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
yes,
that's what I thought. So they may touch upon that in that particular show, meaning we may see Iron Man again. Let me stop.
Well, we're gonna see Don Cheadle. We're gonna see Rhodey. By the way, did we know that he was going to be in this show?
I did not
know. I was completely shocked.
I was very shocked. But it was welcomed. I was not expecting to see anybody else from the MCU, but to see him in there to kind of tie the movies and this show together, I was happy with it. It was very welcome for me because, like I said, one of the big gripes for me, like with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., is that show was handled as completely separate from the MCU, except for they referenced things that happened in the MCU, but the MCU never referenced those particular people, like especially after Coulson died. So that was like one of my biggest gripes, that those two didn't really tie together, except for what we saw Nick Fury once or twice on the show, but other than that, there was no tie-in. So I like the fact that Rhodey was here and it kind of tied in the movies and this show. That was fun. Rhodey has never really been one of my favorite characters, but he's kind of growing on me. So,
It's like I fully expect to see Agent Hill in the show as well.
I will flip if Maria Hill shows up because I love her character. We did not get enough of her.
Yeah. Well, I think they self-corrected from Iron Man 1 because as much as pretty as Terrence Howard is to look at, he really didn't fit as Rhodey. Don Cheadle is a much better Rhodey.
He really is.
And I think that
I think they're both good in their own way. I think
I'll give you that.
I think they both brought something different to the character.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Terrence Howard and Rhodey. I actually liked him because his level of irritation with Tony and the humor that, he kind of had this deadpan humor for Rhodey, the way he played it. And I actually liked that. It took me a while to get used to Don Cheadle, but I like both actors in the things that they've done. And I like both portrayals of Rhodey, the way that they did it. But I don't know, for some reason, it just took me a little bit longer to get used to Don Cheadle being Rhodey, but he's comically speaking, he was a dark-skinned black man.
Right.
So that's the whole reason that I really wasn't with Terrence Howard in the first place, because I was like that. I was that guy that was like, that's not comically accurate.
Oh,
he's white and light-skinned. He should be dark.
He was too
come on now, you know better than that.
He was too pretty.
Now,
no, it's not a matter whether he was light or dark skinned. It was the fact that he was too pretty, and those are some pretty little green eyes that he's got. He's really, really pretty.
See, I
might have watched Empire just because of that.
See, the approach to me, it seemed like the approach they took at first with Terrence Howard was, they were friends in college. That was like his college buddy. But then he got serious later. Like, they seemed to be, the two of them were like hanging out, doing things they shouldn't have been doing. And Terrence was always cramming at the last minute to do the test. But Don Cheadle's Rhodey would have been the responsible friend who was always trying to do the right thing. So it was like two different approaches to the same. It would have been two different friends. Like, if you had two different friend types, you had the enabler and then you had the responsible one.
Yeah, Terrence Howard was the enabler.
Yes, and Don Cheadle was the responsible friend.
Yeah, Don Cheadle looks like he's never been late, he's never had a drink, and he's never missed curfew. That's what Don Cheadle's Rhodey looks like.
So that was, I think it was just two different approaches in how Rhodey would be.
Am I lying?
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, you got to think about it.
He was so straight-laced, though.
He's straight-laced, but he was also Tony Stark's college roommate. He got like, yeah.
Who do you think got Tony out of jail each weekend? Who do you think took the drinks away? It was him. He didn't look while he was me back in college. When everyone else was partying, he had his little book. He was doing his homework in the corner on the couch.
Yeah, that was Don Cheadle's Rhodey.
That was Don Cheadle.
The Terrence Howard Rhodey was the one that was on the plane.
Yes, exactly.
Was the one on the plane with the stripper poles. Mm-hmm. That was Terrence's version. That was the one that was always getting in trouble with Tony.
Exactly.
Come on, Iron Man. What you doing this, man? That's all I can hear now. I'm like, I can't do it, man. I'm sorry.
Look, like I said, I might have watched Empire just because of Terrence Howard. But here's the thing. What I loved about this whole episode, especially the Sam part, is that we got to see what happened to him. And by the way, I told Mark about it. He hasn't seen it yet. The whole thing with the bank and the selfies. I think I turned the TV off and laughed for 5 minutes.
Hey, listen.
I wanted to punch that dude.
No.
It's almost like I got to. Have y'all seen One Night in Miami?
Not yet.
Okay, so there's a scene where Jim Brown goes back to Georgia and he's talking to like an old college, like maybe he's an old high school coach or something like that, or he's sitting on the porch talking to him and they're just like having fun and they're having a nice conversation. Da 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 da. And his daughter comes and says, "We have to move this cabinet or the cabinet or chest of drawers." So Jim Brown's character, Jim Brown stands up and he says, "I can come in and help you." He's like, "Oh, no, we don't allow N-words in here." They just come by, boy, and goes back inside. So it's like, it's just the same. It's basically the same thing. It's like, "Oh, you're Falcon, you're an Avenger, you help save Earth. Oh, cool. Can I get a selfie? Cool. Okay, you're rejected. Thanks for coming in, though." So it's and
then he got into the man's financials too. I mean,
digging.
We knew, okay, first of all, it's sort of an unspoken rule, Hanako, that these superheroes actually don't get paid. So,
and I have to retract something I said about Vision. So now I do think Michael's right. Vision stole some money and did some shenanigans to get that deed. I'm on Mike's side now because now I realize Tony didn't set them up with anything, other than a place to stay. That's it.
Avengers Mansion,
Avengers headquarters. That's it.
Yeah,
you don't.
Justice League. None of them get a check.
No.
Yeah, they did. It's like you say, they depended on the kindness of strangers. They really didn't do anything except for be superheroes. They didn't have, it's not like they could. They could have a job. Sam probably got money from his now he's almost a mercenary because he gets paid for whatever missions he's on. He probably gets money from the military. But that's it. That's all he has.
It's like an independent contractor.
Right.
Yeah, and you can't really do that kind of stuff. Like,
not really. No. And see, the thing is that I'm breaking the fourth wall here. There's a thing that happens once a year called sequestration, if I can pronounce that right. Whereas if you're a defense contractor or an independent contractor, your money for the year depends on whether or not Congress passes that bill. And if they put a moratorium on it for, say, a month or two, your money is messed up for the rest of the year for possibly 8 to 10 months until it gets approved. So yeah, you can have a contract with the government, but that doesn't mean you're actually going to get paid the money. So,
and he is a vet, right?
Right.
And he is a vet who I think he was. I don't want to use the word on disability, but I think he was discharged for medical reasons.
Yes.
Which is why he wasn't wearing his uniform when they did the ceremony in the beginning of the show.
Right. So it hits you on all those levels.
Right.
Being a black man from a poor area who's also a vet on disability. It's just to get denied loan. It's like things never really change. Like, it's not. As a matter of fact, it's worse because he was like, "Oh yeah, all these people came back, and and the banks are being really careful now about who they give money out, like they weren't careful before."
I think that they did a very good job of showing the problem that we have with superheroes. There's a reason why superheroes have quote unquote day jobs as covers, because they actually need the money. The only person who probably got paid is Nick Fury from and then on down. It's, same thing with Clark Kent. There's a reason why Clark Kent was a reporter. It wasn't so much as a cover as he needed a paycheck. But these people need to understand that when you're putting your life on the line, you don't necessarily have a 401k, you don't have a dental plan, you don't even have medical. So I was sort of upset at this guy, the banker guy, but at the same time, I felt really more bad for his sister, because you would think that him being a decorated war hero and Avenger, he could have used that to actually help his sister with something. I mean, it was serious,
which is what
but
he
it wasn't
thought.
to the point. Right, which is not to the point where they're destitute, but he thought, oh, well, because I'm this, I can get you out of that.
Right.
You know, and I felt bad for her. I really did.
Yeah, but all while you're telling them you can't give them a loan, you want selfies and you want this, then I was like, I really was like, Sam, just punch him. I'm trying to think what Avenger would have punched him. Bucky probably would have punched him. Tony probably would have punched him.
Tony would have bought the bank.
Exactly. That's exactly what Tony would have done.
Which reminds me that
Hope probably would have just broke the bank, just like busted everything up and like, screw you, I'll take the money.
Yeah, it made me think of what Bruce did for Clark in The Farm. He was like, how did you get the bank to give the farm back?
I bought the bank. Yeah, and said it just deadpan. I literally thought that's a Tony Stark move. Like, yeah.
But it was very interesting. But like I said, this is him dealing with coming back from the blip, from the snap. I mean, it really showcased both sides, both him and Bucky, how hard it is. I mean, it was interesting.
Let's talk about Bucky's therapy. That was, even though I know that was not really meant to be a funny scene, I did find it kind of funny because Bucky is sitting there like really trying to deflect everything, and his therapist was like, nope, not about to happen. Like, she was calling him on all his bullshit, and I was there for it. I was like, okay, Bucky, how are you going to talk yourself out of this? But watching his recollection of the congresswoman that he took down, that shit was funny.
That was awesome.
That was funny.
And his questioning of the rules was funny too.
Did you write down 3 rules, Mike?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. I know you did. I can always count on you.
I loved his logic.
Rule 1 is to do nothing illegal, which means by admitting he can't kill anybody or rob somebody or steal anything. 2, he can't hurt anyone, which he obviously broke because he punched dude in the face. But he also said rule 2 must not be that important because shouldn't it be rule number 1?
Right.
Yeah.
I love that.
And then rule number 3, he has to do his little Inigo Montoya speech where he's like, I'm Bucky Dent. I'm Bucky Dent. I've come here to make amends. Prepare to be amended, or whatever he's doing.
So obviously they have a good rapport because he's been going. It seems like he's been going there for a little while.
Yeah, he has a little book with names that he has scratched off. That he has to scratch off as far as he makes amends. Wasn't the Zemo's name's on there?
Interesting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there's something there where he has to do to make amends to Zemo for something. I don't know, but that's gonna be interesting to see what that is.
Well, that probably kicked off at the end of World War II or whatever.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, but the whole thing as far as the amends, it's not necessarily something that he has to make up for. He's having to right a wrong, and like with the Congresswoman, the wrong was he used his. I don't even know if you want to call it influence, but he used his power as the Winter Soldier to put her into that position. And so his amends for that was to get her out of that position because she was abusing it and she was doing illegal stuff. And she was actually trying to get someone silenced using her power. So the Zemo thing is going to be interesting because what would Bucky have, like, what would he need to do to make amends to that person? This is the person who outed his role in the Starks' deaths. So,
what do you think, Ed?
Give us some speculation.
I have
Don't
no
give
theories.
us a theory. Don't give us a theory. Give us some speculation.
I have no theory.
Okay,
there isn't any. It's like I couldn't think of anything that off the top of my head that he would have done that would have affected what happened to Zemo's family. So I don't know.
Okay, go along. Let's go along with what Hanako was saying about the Congresswoman. Like he basically made amends for putting her in position and the things that she did. So maybe his thing with Zemo is fixing things that Zemo might have made him do. So I mean, maybe it's something with I don't know, maybe it's something with Iron Man or with somebody who got hurt while he was trying to while he was going about getting his revenge. Maybe someone got hurt along the way, or
no. I think it's before that. I think it has something to do with what happened during the war with his father and with the castle. Because remember, they had that huge thing at the castle.
Was that his father's castle though?
It was somebody's castle.
The one in Endgame with the super soldiers, right?
Yeah. I think it has something to. I think it goes back to when he was just Bucky. I don't think it has anything to do with him being Winter Soldier. I think this is pre. I think this is Bucky.
Okay.
Because remember, there's a whole lot with him just being Bucky that they have not even begun to address with him just being the Winter Soldier.
Dude, yeah, that's a lot. Like he killed a lot of people. So
yeah,
I mean,
and he's got a lot of blood on his hands.
Yeah, a lot of blood on his legs.
Maybe he crossed paths with him at some point.
Could be.
I mean, it could be. Because at first I was thinking, well, maybe he felt like had he not, killed Tony's parents, it wouldn't have led to somehow Ultron being created.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Because there's this, I couldn't, other than stretching and making these distant connections that are borderline theories, I'm staying away from them. So
is that a theory?
I have no clue as to why Zemo is on that.
That kind of sounded like a theory to me.
It sounded like a theory.
It wasn't a theory. I was talking about things that actually. No, those were things that actually happened, and they're not conjecture.
Okay.
Bucky killed Tony's parents. That happened.
Yeah, but you happened.
Trying to make that connection between the two, it requires coming up with all the different specific events that we saw on screen that led to that. There's no theory in there whatsoever.
Yeah,
funny. Oh, well, that just makes me want to go back to watch the first Captain America movie now.
See? Okay, I'm not.
See, that would have to be like Zemo's grandfather. Do you realize how long ago that was? It couldn't have been his father.
Yeah, good point. But still, I mean, come on. Look whose family we're talking about here. I mean, well, wait a minute. Wasn't his father immortal or damn near immortal?
Whose father?
Zemo's.
Yeah, but the Zemo in this MCU is not the same as the Zemo.
No. But I'm thinking you were saying father versus grandfather. I'm thinking no, that could be his father because I believe his grandfather has some immortality, so that could be his father.
No, I'm saying the Zemo.
Not the one that's in the show. I'm talking about. I get what you're saying. Okay. Ignore me.
Yeah, because they always say how the stories may seem similar to what is in the comic books, but they always say Marvel always says that we draw on the comic books for like inspiration, and not necessarily for the stories themselves.
This is true.
That's why you get Tony creating Ultron and not Henry Pym because he's over in the Ant-Man universe doing the Pym particles.
Yeah, and
I mean that's why they gender swapped the Flag Smasher, and it's not just the Flag Smasher. Flag Smashers is the group. You know what I'm saying? So they always look to the comic books for inspiration, not necessarily for the storyline.
Oh, you're right. Because I'm thinking back. Yeah, you're right. Because and I was watching the credits now, and they did have the name Power Broker in there, and they showed another list of names on there, and but it was sort of like the list that he had, but it was a little different. And then they showed the full cast of the entire series versus who was in the episode. So but the thing I'm still trying to get is these long end credits for these shows. I mean, the credits are just 5 minutes long.
They're the longest I'll get out.
Am I the only person who sat there waiting for after credit scene? Because I'm not going to miss them.
Yeah, me too.
I actually had a friend who posted on Facebook and said Marvel has spoiled me because I sat, especially after WandaVision, because he sat and waited for additional scenes after the credits and there was nothing. So I knew not to look this time. So yeah, I just, like I said, when I got to the end of the episode, and I think the episode is only like 42 minutes long, I literally sat there like, that's it. And I had to remind myself, Hanako, this is not a movie. This is a TV show. I really felt it really felt like a movie, like the start of a movie, and I was kind of expecting that. So I was a little disappointed at the end, not because of anything in the show. Like, I love the show. I love the way that they started out. I'm really ready to see Bucky and Sam together. I really want to say, I don't know how long we're going to have to wait for this particular scene, but they've released like a couple of small little clips as part of the promos, and there's one where Sam and Bucky are talking about Lord of the Rings, and Bucky talks about how he read the book when it originally was published, and then Sam's talking about them fighting wizards and stuff like that, and Bucky's like, yeah, they're talking about Dr. Strange, and he's like, he's not a wizard, he's a sorcerer. And Sam is like, a sorcerer is just a wizard with a cape. And I was just like, I'm so fucking ready for this show. Like, just for ridiculous shit like that, I'm ready for it. So I'm ready to see those two on screen together. I'm ready to see what they're going to do with the show. Yeah. We only have 6 episodes. That's the other thing that I'm not pleased with, because we're only getting 6 episodes of these two. And like I said, these two they quickly became 2 of my favorite characters in the MCU just because of the way that they were when they interacted with each other. I went back last night and I watched the Marvel Legends series on Disney Plus, and they're doing this as they release the new shows. They're doing like the background on the characters. So for Falcon and Winter Soldier, they did one on Sam, they did one on Bucky, they did one on Sharon Carter, and they did one on Zemo. And so you see the scenes from Civil War when they're fighting against Spider-Man, and they fall down on the ground, and he's like, you couldn't do that before? I hate you. And I was like, this is what I just want this. Like, those 2 characters for me, they are 2 of the characters that have the best chemistry with each other because they're so antagonistic towards each other, but at the same time, that they would have each other's backs when it comes down to it. I'm just ready for this dynamic. Yeah. I'm ready to see this. I need to see my Sam and I need to see my Bucky. Like, give it to me. I hate that I have to wait another 5 days. I hate that we're only getting 5 more episodes, but I'm ready for it. Like, I'm so excited for this show.
I saw something today. I saw a meme that was so telling. It said 1991. If I can find the time and the channel, I'm going to watch one of the last episodes of Flash 2, 2021. Well, this weekend I've got Justice League. I've got Falcon, Winter Soldier. I've got an episode of Flash. I got an episode of Superman and Lois Lane. I got that. Which one should I watch? And I'm going, yes, this is what it means to be a long-term geek. Oh, and they also said Riverdale. I think it said Legacy. They threw in a whole bunch of shows. And I'm like, yes, this is my world now. And I'm watching a TV show that is about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I mean, seriously, mind blown. Seriously. Right. Yeah. Just completely mind blown.
Yeah, this was a good weekend to be a geek. Like, on Thursday, I was sitting there thinking about it. I was like, wait, I get to go home and watch The Walking Dead tonight, and then Justice League, and then The Winter Soldier comes out. I was like, this is like a good weekend for me. Like, I was so happy. I was like, this is lovely. I love it.
I'm mainlining Superman and Lois like no one's business. And see, here's the best thing about these shows is that older podcasts that we used to listen to back in the day, I'm talking about Starkville's House of L, they're back and they're doing Superman and Lois. So I'm getting all the old jokes, all the old hosts, and I'm like, oh my God, because they did 10 years to Smallville. Okay. Everything. They also did Heroes. So I'm geeking out because they restarted the podcast about 8 months ago, prepping just to do this. So I'm like, oh my God, everything old is new again. So yeah, it's like this whole cool thing. We are so blessed that you've got people who are willing, Walking Dead, all the other shows. I mean, it is so much fun to be a geek right now.
It is. I'm so glad that like I stopped putting off doing this, because I would have just been sitting here like, who am I going to talk about this stuff to? It's fun to get together and be able to like hash all this stuff out. The good, the good theories, Anthony, and then the not so good ones, or, talking about the great stuff that happens and talk about the not so great stuff. I just like that we have a platform that we can do that on. So many people have these platforms, and there's so many other good podcasts out there, and it's a great time to be a geek. It is.
It's awesome. And I know we're talking tomorrow about Justice League, but I'm just going to say this. It wasn't so much the way that he recut the movie. It was who the guest appearances were that had me going like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But my thing is that it shows two things. It shows that if you give the right director and the right writer and the right group of people, they can produce amazing stuff that you can literally watch for days.
I love it. What are you guys looking forward to for the rest of this series? Like I said, we're only getting 6 episodes, so we're 1 episode down, 5 to go. We've already seen a cameo from Rhodey. Are we expecting any other MCU people to show up? I mean, I know that Sharon Carter is part of the series. So I know we're going to see her. You're smiling, Mike. What are you smiling about?
I'm just waiting to see what Anthony's going to say.
Anthony's not going to say nothing. I'm not even expecting him to answer the question.
I am looking forward to seeing more of the chemistry between Sam and James. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to see Sharon, because they actually have good chemistry with her too.
Yes.
And I'm also looking forward to seeing Carly Morgenthau, who's going to be played by Erin Kellyman. She was in Solo. She played the leader of that group at the end. Oh. She has all the freckles. Mm-hmm. I'm really looking forward to seeing her and seeing what she brings, and seeing how Zemo and see what Zemo does, being thrown into the mix.
I just want to know how the hell he got out of prison, or wherever it was that they had him.
And absolutely having no theories whatsoever, because the one thing that WandaVision taught us is that they're not going to give us anything more than we already know. That's it. They're just not. So just take it for what it is. Easter eggs. I was surprised that they used Bartrock, but he's only in there for one reason, to show Sam is a badass too. We're not gonna worry about how he got out of prison. Maybe Shield, quote unquote Hydra, never actually put him in prison.
That's good.
Mm-hmm. Hey, that sounds like a theory.
That doesn't sound like a theory. That's based on actual facts that Hydra was infiltrating Shield. So facts, not speculation.
Season 3 of Agents of Shield.
But I'm just looking forward to how this all plays out, and I'm looking forward to seeing all the YouTube videos and all the theories and all the Easter eggs.
I'm not watching any of them. No,
watch everyone's expectations escalate, and everyone's dreams and hopes get shattered and crushed when we when we end the show exactly where we began, just like WandaVision.
Look, man, I'm addicted to this like gamblers are addicted to gambling. I'm gonna lose a lot of times, and that's fine, but that's not gonna stop me. I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna push forward,
and I'm not doing no frame by frame by frame.
Oh wait! Oh please! You know I got time for all that. No,
not for this.
Because my instinct when Bucky showed his list was to pause and see us on this.
Who was on the list?
I resisted the urge.
Oh, look at you.
I'm not gonna do it.
Well, I don't think there's a need for this show. I think
you'd be surprised.
Well, yeah. I would actually argue that when we get to Loki, that would be a little bit more. As far as the Easter eggs are concerned, I'm not concerned about this show, because for this show, I'm going to see a certain thing or certain people. I expect Nick Fury to show up. I expect Maria Hill to show up at some point. I'm not really looking for anything else. I mean, for me, we have 5 episodes left. It's going to be a one and done complete. It's going to move from point A to point B, and I'm just going to enjoy the
camaraderie.
The camaraderie, the way that they shoot the thing.
The witty banter, absolutely.
The banter, the friendship, the jokes, the battles. I'm just gonna, sit back and just actually enjoy just watching it and not speculate at all. Because to me, I wanted a second episode right away, like we got with WandaVision, and I wanted more. I mean, I'm sitting here, I'm watching it, and I had a really bad week with my arthritis, so I'm just sort of sitting in my chair all week, and I'm like, I want more, mainly because I didn't want to move, but because they said my leg's killing me. But I literally was so engaged that I was like, that's it? Seriously, that's it? I mean, it went by way too fast.
Yeah.
Okay, so before I was talking about, there's something interesting I found about Torres. Torres is apparently going, in comics, he's going to take up the Falcon mantle when Sam takes the Cap mantle. So it'll be important to watch what he does here.
I said when I watched their banter at the beginning, the way that they interacted with each other, I said, okay, Torres is going to be Sam's Sam, the way he was to Captain America. That's really what I thought.
So that's actually canon. That he got his powers from the Power Brokers. So the Power Broker is definitely going to be involved one way or another in this series.
Okay.
So he got, and the Power Broker is also linked to Spider-Woman and Battlestar. And I think the Battlestar might actually be in this one too, because Battlestar is closely linked to U.S. Agent Great Value Captain America. So look forward to that. Also, when they were in Morocco or wherever they were, when Sam and Torres were talking, Torres was talking to him about fan theories about Captain America being on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam said, I can assure you that those people you don't have to take seriously. And I looked at it, I was like, that's kind of a jab at people giving theories online. Like, he was like, yeah, don't take those people seriously. They don't know what they're talking about. I was like, that was definitely a jab at us. I was like, you're not funny. Also saw Luke Skywalker parallels with Falcon, because Red Wing, when he tells him what to do, like, he literally like talks to him, and you can hear the beeping. It kind of gives the R2D2 vibe with me, with both of those, how they interact. And
what did Black Widow say?
She was like, I'm not talking to that thing. I'm not talking to that thing. And he was like, go on, tell him thank you. She was like, no, I'm not talking to him.
Yeah. So that's definitely kind of a R2D2 Luke thing to me. It's because that's not parallel. And plus, it's like when Luke really wasn't ready to become a Jedi, it seems it's not on the same level, but it's kind of almost the same thing as him not wanting to be Cap either. So I kind of drew that parallel too.
Here's another thing, since you mentioned Red Wing. I know we always talk about like the obvious geniuses in the series, like, your Tony Starks and your Bruce Banners. How intelligent and how like freaking smart does Sam have to be to program this thing to where it interacts with him like he's talking to a regular person? What?
Could care less, because Red Wing is actually a bird in the comic books, and I want it to be a bird.
Okay, and also in the Avengers Assemble comic, in the cartoon, in the cartoon versions of Avengers Assemble, when they introduce Falcon is introduced as being like smart, like kind of below the level of Tony Stark smart.
Tony Stark smart, yeah, because he basically was the low income, almost quite street kid that had a thing for tech, yeah. But no, yeah. I'm more upset that Red Wing is actually not the bird.
So this my take is, I'm not gonna take away from how brilliant he probably is, but it's like when I got my first computer, I didn't know anything about computers at all. But after I got my first computer, after having it for a year or so, I realized eventually you learn everything you need to know about computers once you have one. It's like having a car. When your car starts breaking down, you start working on it, and you start picking up things. So I think Sam has been with his own technology long enough to be familiar with how it works.
Right.
Now, it is Stark technology. I don't think Sam created Red Wing. I think that was a Stark thing. And I think at this point, to me, he's had it long enough to be familiar with it that even he knows giving it to the army guys to fix it is probably a bad idea.
Right.
But I mean, think about it when we're first introduced to Sam, when he's talking about his suit, he designed the suit.
Yeah. But obviously the suit that he has is not the one he had at first.
But I don't know
but I'm not saying he may have designed it, but like I said, I'm not taking away from his brilliance. I'm just saying it's not the same thing that he had when he first started.
Because didn't they steal the wings Didn't they steal the wings initially? Because they needed something for Cap, or I'm misremembering. But didn't they like?
No, I think he still had it.
He knew about them because
he didn't have it. The government had them.
Right, and they went and they stole them.
He went and basically took it back.
Right.
Then I think he's been the one making, at least the way that I understand it, he's been the one making the modifications. Now I'm sure he probably maybe did have Tony help, and he was like, okay, this is what I need and this is how I want it, because of course he's the one that's going to be in the suit. So just like Tony wouldn't let, and I'm sure Tony wouldn't let anybody else design the Iron Man suit for him to wear, because he knows what he needs to do with it and how he needs to connect with it. I feel like Sam is the same way with his suit and with Red Wing. It's like he's the one that's controlling them. He's the one that has to work with them. So they have to be able to understand each other on that level. And just like when Torres was trying to mess with it, he was like, anytime I've tried to let anybody else touch it, it doesn't work right. It only responds to me. That seems like a little
but Torres also said, it's also Stark tech.
But didn't Black Goliath actually help Sam with the design of his suit initially?
Okay, see that now you're going back into.
I was going to say you're going into comic stuff, because Black Goliath wasn't part of the show or part of the movie. So
I know.
He's over in the Ant-Man universe.
I know, but in the comic books, he and Sam were like this. But it takes a special skill to be a world-renowned scientist and a pimp at the same time, which is what Black Goliath was.
I'm not saying that Sam didn't know what he's doing. I'm just saying let's not read too much.
Okay.
Because they all can't be brilliant geniuses.
We got to read into it and make theories. That's what we're here for. You're reading everything.
Again, super scientists and pimps at the same time.
All the minutiae, we're taking it all.
I only fixated because the first time I read that, I'm sitting there going, "Wow, that's a range right there."
And I know some people would be like, "Well, you shouldn't be giving Tony too much credit," but Tony's like, billionaire philanthropist superhero. I mean, he does. He looked at the guy from AIM. He looked at his formula,
right,
and half asleep, half hungover, half drunk. He's like, "Oh yeah, I could fix that." You know what I mean? So he could look at Sam and be like, let me take a look at that. I think I could make a few improvements.
And Tony Tony and Sam and everyone in the Marvel U is infinitely smarter than Bruce Wayne, because Bruce Wayne just buys stuff. Alfred, I question in the movies Alfred's technical prowess, because that's all Lucius Fox. But my thing is that as far as the tech side, Marvel is definitely stronger, because those are actual scientists. All Bruce Wayne is, as he says, superpower is he's rich.
Right.
No. Bruce Wayne is his genius is looking at a coffee maker and going, what kind of weapon can that be? That's
okay. I'll give you that.
That's his genius. He looks at the junk that Wayne Tech throws into the garbage.
I'll give you that.
And to him, it's a gold mine.
Yeah. That's true.
You know.
No, everybody.
Because I have something to say about that stupid shit that he's trying to
We'll talk about that tomorrow. We'll talk about that
tomorrow.
I'm just going to say this. As far as Tech is concerned, I will give Sam all of his props, because if you are on the Avengers, Thor aside, because I don't think Thor could add 2 and 2 and get 4 if he tried. I just think he's that dumb. But my thing is that aside from Thor, everybody on that team is really, really highly intelligent, but they think problems through and they work through technical. I have never seen Thor work through a technical issue in my entire life.
Whoa. He figured out how to fly the ship. So he figured out how to fly the Dark Elf ship. So
he's Asgardian.
Don't come for Thor.
He's Asgardian. That was second nature.
He speaks Groot.
Again, he's Asgardian. That's second nature. Look, I love Thor, but I'm sorry, the man is dumb as a field post.
Yeah.
I take issue with that. I think he's actually a highly intelligent being.
Yeah. I looked it up. Batman's superpower is plot armor and white superiority. That's what it's
Sorry.
We gotta love that plot armor.
I'm sorry.
I can't believe you came for Thor.
I did. I've always thought that, and I love Thor. I really do.
Yeah, they don't talk about Peter because Peter Parker is
that's different
as well. But they don't really they touch on it a little bit, just enough to let you know they can get by it. And I'm just saying they didn't really do that for Sam, because I just got the impression that he's had the technology long enough. He's had it with him that he's going to be able. He kind of knows what he's doing when he takes it apart, because he's probably in the field, had to do some things in the field, so he kind of knows how it works.
Giving the background,
And it's easier to just give it to someone else to fix since Tony's not around, but now he realized that's probably not a great idea, because they don't know what the hell they're doing, because it is Stark Tech. And
And the thing is that given Sam's background, and not only that, you have to figure a lot of people always talk about engineering prowess. Okay, here's the other thing. What about the kids that grew up like him? Obviously, now that we know his background, working on a boat. If you're a kid and you're working on a boat that obviously needs work, you're going to develop those mechanic skills.
Yep.
Like no one's business. So he's always been working with his hands. He's got that innate knowledge on how to pull a transmission, how to work on the brake or whatever they do on the ships or whatever. So he's going to have that ingrained knowledge from like childhood. So
he probably has an aptitude for picking that stuff up when he is exposed to it. Like he's basically like your poor man's Rhodey, because this is one thing that they don't have in the shows. Rhodey went to MIT. Rhodey is a smart guy too. But they don't actually kind of show that like they should. I really agree with you. I think they should show it more, but it's not something that they've written to the character, because that's not what the character is known for.
Well, not even the 90s animated series did we see that with Rhodey. All we got Rhodey was in that burgundy members only jacket, walking up and down the beach with Tony all the damn time.
But the other thing I was thinking too, going back to what I was saying about Sam and really thinking about the Avengers team, or at least the Avengers team on Earth, they all have to be highly intelligent. They have to have some high intelligence, because they've all worked in the military in intelligence, and they've all been spies. They've been in defense. So you can't be slow on the uptake working in those kinds of positions. Like, you have to be able to think outside of the box. You have to be able to think quick on your feet, because you might get into some situations where you have to think of a lie, or you have to think of something really quick to get yourself out of the situation. So I just happened to think about that. I was like, yeah, they all have to be like really, really like ridiculously intelligent to be in the kinds of positions that we know that they have been in.
Right, yeah.
So
yeah, I agree with you.
And then thinking about
remember, Sam really didn't start out as, as like an Avenger. He just kind of fell into it.
Yeah, but think about what he was doing in the
military. But before that, he was doing special ops.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Yeah,
which is the same thing what he was doing.
So again, you have to have. You have to have. I mean, and then him being even though he wasn't a pilot, he was flying. You have to know the laws of aerodynamics and science and math in order to maneuver flight. So
I'm not saying he didn't know any of those. I'm not saying he didn't know those things. I'm just saying that let's not put him in a different category than what he is. I'm not saying that he isn't smart or intelligent or brilliant. I'm just saying I don't know. Just whatever. Never mind. Because I don't want people to think that I'm saying he's not smart. That's not what I'm saying.
No, Sam.
That's not what I'm saying.
I think it's given that Sam is an intelligent, well-spoken, very put together person who is very, very about his business, and he knows his business very well. I don't think that's ever not been seen with him. Right. I think that the thing is that with him, people don't necessarily look at him that way because, like he said, I'm just like Cap, only slower. Mm-hmm. So he kind of humbled himself, if I can use that for an example, down a little bit so he wouldn't get, quote unquote, the shine that Cap always got.
Yeah, I do see that about his character too. Yeah.
Because if he was like Tony got that tractor started, he couldn't get this boat started. So, yeah.
I felt bad for him. Oh, I feel bad for him.
I know.
But he had some interesting lines in the show, and I laughed at certain areas. I thought that certain things were just absolutely hysterical. But I also felt for both characters, the way that they were interacting with their surroundings, I was like, okay. I felt a very faint Odd Couple vibe coming on. I felt an Oscar and Felix moment coming. You know what I mean? It's coming. You know it's going to come because one of them's going to be a slob and one of them's going to be neat as a pen. You can guess which one's going to be which.
Yep.
I'm just ready to have those two on screen together. I'm just ready for the shenanigans. I'm ready. I'm like so ready for it. Like I said, we have 5 more episodes, and hopefully they're all. I won't even say as good as we know they're going to get better. I mean, they can't do anything but get better once you have those two on screen together. And then when you bring in Zemo, when you bring in Sharon, that's just going to be like, I think we're going to get progressively disappointed every week that it's not more than 45 minutes of a show. I think we're going to all be sitting there like, wait, give us more. Wait, give us more. Give us some more. So, but I'm looking forward to that. But for now, that's it for our show. You can find us online at www.fandomhybrid.com. We are on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Fandom Hybrid. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and other major podcast streaming platforms. Thanks for listening. We hope you join the conversation next time.